The Big Ten and the SEC get together up north as Alabama travels to Wisconsin, Camp Randall Stadium. It should be quite the scene. We got Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama on the line. Of course, you can catch Stephen's show right here on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in my own words, 6:30 Central, folks. Stephen, how you doing today?
Doing great, Mark. Doing fantastic. The last time these two programs squared off, it was 2015. They were down in Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium, the Advocare Classic. Alabama won that game 35-17. Derrick Henry had a big game in that matchup. But this time, you go up north to Madison, Wisconsin. You got Fox Big Noon doing the commentary and 11 a.m. kickoff. Should be a good one.
It should be a fine game and quite the scene. Before we get to that one, the Western Kentucky performance, mighty impressive. Of course, this is a Hilltoppers team that typically wins 8 or 9 games, and they don't show up like that against other teams. They usually acquit themselves rather well, and Bama just put down a first-class performance. And then, of course, another date with South Florida and a 1-point game in the fourth quarter before Alabama stepped it up. What do you think was the difference in those final 10 minutes of play? Was it something from a schematic standpoint, or did Alabama just get super focused and serious?
Well, a lot of people would look at that as, in that part of the game, Mark, the athletes just stepped up for Alabama. But I look at Elijah Pritchett. Alabama made a move in the fourth quarter with about a little over 6 minutes to go to replace Wilkin Formby, who was at that right tackle position for much of the game, with Elijah Pritchett, of whom Pritchett dealt with an ankle issue throughout practice. The coaching staff really did not want to push him for this game, but he looked at the coaching staff and said, I can go, I can play, put me in here, I can make some type of an impact. And Coach King and DeBoer decided to go with Elijah Pritchett. And when that happened, you saw 28 points scored in the fourth quarter, whether it was Pritchett springing Jalen Milroe for a 56-yard touchdown run, Justice Haynes for a 29-yard score, or protecting Jalen Milroe in the pocket to have 2 touchdown passes to Ryan Williams and Kobe Prentice. Elijah Pritchett wanted to get in that football game. When he got in there, that young man at 6'6", 327 pounds, immediately made an impact and had Alabama fans going, where was he for the rest of the game? Like, where was he prior to this? Now, of course, I mentioned did have an ankle issue throughout the week in practice. The Tides coaching staff kind of hesitant to want to go to him, but he was on the sideline visibly wanting to get out there on the field. So they put him out there. He was able to stay healthy throughout the entirety of the 6 minutes he was out there. Didn't re-aggravate the ankle, so that was good. But a good portion of that was the coaching staff going with Elijah Pritchett on the right side of that offensive line at right tackle to finish the game.
Stephen, you mentioned that freshman, Ryan Williams, that explosiveness showed up again in game 2. This roster is always full of athletes all over the place. How would you in some way categorize his level of athleticism? Is there anybody that you can compare him to?
I'll say this, Mark. He's a combination of Devontae Smith and Jameson Williams. The body type is Devontae Smith. Devontae had kind of that wiry body type of 6'1", 165 to 170 pounds. Ryan Williams, that same body type at 6'1", $175. But the speed is Jameson Williams. He's got that high-end speed, that high-end take the top off of you, vertical route running capability to blow by guys. And we saw this the last 2 weeks to where when he's needed to come up with a touchdown, he has come up with making the catch, running a clean route, catching the football, breaking a tackle, so he has the strength there, and then just turning on the turbo to the house. So the guy is just a phenomenal athlete. I mean, 17 years old, should still be in high school. does not turn 18 to February of next year. He plays with so much maturity, so much humility, but so much hunger, about this young man, and just continues to amaze in his first year, the ability to get open quickly, catch the football, have the afterburners. This guy just has a different gear about it.
Folks, we always enjoy the conversation with Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, and of course, join him for his show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right here on YouTube, In My Own Words, 6:30 Central Time. Stephen, to a certain extent, the narrative concerning Jalen Milroe might be a little bit overplayed in terms of once they figured out what to do with him last year, it was basically, well, you drop him back to pass, and he either finds the guy that's running the deep route on the 8 or the 9 post route, or he dumps it off to the check down, or he's going to take off and run. Do you think he's developed more in the passing game to where he can be a little bit more sophisticated or advanced in reading some defenses now?
I think he's gotten better with that, Mark, in making those timely reads, taking his eyes from the left side to the right side and going through those necessary progressions. I think the one thing I would like to see from Milroe more is when pressure gets to him, him being decisive of what he's about to do. There's still those moments where pressure gets to him and he still feels shook and like, oh no, what do I do here? So I kind of want him to become more decisive of, okay, I know pressure's coming. I got my hot read here. Or I know pressure's coming. I'm taking off and I'm going with this football, running with this football. I know pressure's coming. I got this slant route opened up here. Bang, I can hit this right here. So him being more decisive of knowing where he's going to with that football, even when he's staring down the barrel of pressure. I think that's the next phase of what I want to see, from him. He has developed some in reading the progressions of going from the first option down the line. But the biggest thing for Milroe is when the opposition is sending pressure and someone is not being blocked and they're in my face, do I get happy feet, bail out, and not know what I'm supposed to do? Or am I already having a decision made up? I know pressure's coming. I know a blitz is coming off the hot, either a blitz is coming off the hot corner, or there's a blitz coming up the A gap, or somebody's doing a twist stunt, running some different games on me, and I see somebody coming free, already having that decision made up and confidently going with that decision. That's where I want to see more improvement from him.
So, Stephen, whether it's something that Kalen DeBoer said or any of the players, do you think they see this as a different type of opportunity? Just in regards to they're used to big games in the SEC, they're used to postseason games and even big non-conference games, but probably the majority of them have never gone this far north. They're going into Big Ten country. I know some of them, and obviously Kalen DeBoer understands that these are the two premier conferences in the country that pretty much own the sport, the SEC and the Big Ten. So there's always intrigue when those two conferences get together. And there's another, not to Alabama's extent, but another name brand, and it's a historic place to play.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of not just get up for this game, but also the desire to get out there and show that you have cleaned up some things that happened against South Florida, against Wisconsin. And probably the most significant coach in this ball game is actually Colin Hitschler, the safeties coach, the co-defensive coordinator. People don't realize Coach Hitch has 6 years of experience working under Luke Fickell. He knows Coach Fickell extremely well. He had 5 years under Coach Fickell with Cincinnati. We're talking about 2018 to 2022. And during that time period, Coach Hitschler served in a number of roles, whether he was a quality defensive control coach, a senior defensive analyst, a co-defensive coordinator, or the safeties coach. Coach Hitch wore a lot of hats working under Luke Fickell, and he was able to witness, defensive players total double-digit tackles for loss. He witnessed a couple of players with double-digit sacks in his time there. Of course, he coached a secondary that in those 5 seasons had 27 interceptions. It's a big number right there, including the likes of Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant, both being drafted high in the NFL. And then, of course, last year, Coach Hitz was with Luke Fickell at Wisconsin as a co-DC and safeties coach. So he's had a lot of juice so far this week in practice because he knows how Coach Fickell is going to want to attack this Alabama offense. So he's been able to give this Alabama offense a great look in practice about how Coach Fickell is going to want to attack them from the defensive perspective where Wisconsin is concerned. And then Wisconsin, with Phil Longo as the offensive coordinator there, he's had success with quarterbacks at Ole Miss when you talk about Shea Patterson, Jordan Tiamu, and, of course, starting development of Matt Corral. And then at North Carolina, he had Drake May and Sam Howell. So with having Tyler Van Dyke, there are some things that Phil Longo is going to draw up in the passing game and try to go after this Alabama secondary. So Coach Hitschler has been worked with a lot of juice this week, wanting to get back to Madison to show Coach Fickell how much he has learned and how much he's going to use what he has learned.
Yeah, it should be quite interesting because, as you will know, Alabama came within just a couple of games of seeing Tyler Van Dyke in 2021. So Alabama, of course, won that opener against Miami. Tyler Van Dyke was on the bench at that point. De'Ara King gets hurt, and Van Dyke becomes the starter just a few games later. Goes on a remarkable 8 or 9 game stretch where he was throwing for 350 a week, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and he's never been that guy since. He's had a lot of injury issues the last 2 years. Also, the offensive line letting him down at Miami for much of that stretch. Now he comes to Wisconsin. So he definitely has an NFL arm, but he's a bit of a gunslinger that gets himself into trouble at times.
And that's the one thing that Colin Hitschler is hoping for, because Kane Womack talked about it on yesterday. Alabama did not have the takeaways that it would have liked to have had against South Florida. Start the year strong with 2 interceptions from Keon Sabb, but transferred from Michigan, but did not have that same clip of takeaways against South Florida. Now, Alabama did force 2 turnover on downs, as the Bulls could not convert there on 2 fourth-down instances. But this week, Coach Womack has been on this defense. We got to take the ball away. So they're hoping that gunslinger mentality from Van Dyke, coupled with Alabama getting pressure to him, can force some interceptions, can force some takeaways, can put Alabama in a better spot here offensively with the short field, or Alabama's defense can score, on those takeaways. So that they're counting on that gunslinger mentality operating negatively for Van Dyke this week.
It's an Alabama appearance on Fox, which doesn't happen a whole lot. That's at 11 Central and noon Eastern with Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt calling the game, Wisconsin and Alabama. For more in-depth coverage, of course, you want to check out touchdownalabama.com. You want to catch Steven's show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, again, 6:30 Central Time right here on YouTube, in my own words. Steven, we appreciate you stopping by as always.
Man, I appreciate it, Mark. It'll be fun watching Klatt and Gus Johnson give us all the energy and intel with Fox Big Noon this weekend.